The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Everyone's been wondering who rioted here in Detroit. Who were the looters? The answer lies right here. These people looted. These people rioted. And some of these people threw the firebombs. They did it. The people who lived in and about this area. And that's the important thing to remember. They did it. There are about 100,000 people like them in Detroit. The lost, the dispossessed people outside our society.
Within days, police arrested 7,200 people. Most were young black men.
The police stations were all overrun and the jails were filled, so they just created detention centers. So people were calling up, reporting what the police were doing or did, or reporting missing people, people wanting to file complaints, fear, anger. Could this be happening in America?
And Douglas also said, America may accuse others of savagery, but really it has no equal when it comes to this. He said, for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival. As the saying goes, truer words were never spoken. Douglas spoke these words while slavery still legally existed in the United States. But his comments applied just as much even after outright slavery was ended. And all this time, while all these lynchings and other acts of incredible cruelty were being carried out, with all the oppression they embodied and enforced, all this time, those who ruled this country, those who refused to do anything to stop these lynchings and other acts of terror and atrocities, those who were responsible for these and other barbaric crimes, all this time, they never stopped proclaiming, this is the greatest country in the world. This is the greatest country that has ever been. This is the leader of the free world. This is the homeland of freedom and democracy.
At least 2 people died when National Guardsmen, fearing snipers, sprayed buildings with gunfire.
It sounded like we were in Vietnam or something, all this excitement, and boy, I was panicked, and I told my husband about it, and then he says, get on that floor, and I ran on the floor. Then we went in this woman's apartment, and then the noise, the cop says to come outside, put your hands on your head.
And I opened the door, and there were about 4 or 5 National Guardsmen, all young, all white, looking around with rifles and bayonets. And this one guy, he says, we heard some shooting here. And everybody who had been shot up to this point that we'd heard about, they all said that they had a gun and that they were shooting at the police. That became the line. This guy was a sniper. He was shooting at the police. And I knew that if I was shot, if my family was shot, that they could have closed the door in this apartment and nobody would have ever known what happened.
The extremists offer manhood through violence. They offer self-respect. They offer pride in being black, dignity in being black, beauty in being black. They are saying it every day, and black people are listening.
Which do you prefer? Or should I say, which do you find more convenient? A wife or one of these mulatto girls? No, Please don't misunderstand. I'm speaking strictly in terms of economics. What is the cost of the product? What does the product yield? The product in this case being love. Purely physical love, since sentiments obviously play no part in economics.
Quite.
Now, a wife must be provided with a home, with food, with dresses, with medical attention, etc., etc. You're obliged to keep her a whole lifetime, even when she's grown old and perhaps a trifle unproductive. And then, of course, if you have the bad luck to survive her, you have to pay for the funeral. No, it's true, isn't it? Gentlemen, I know it seems amusing, but actually those are the facts, aren't they? Now, with a prostitute, on the other hand, it's quite a different matter, isn't it? You see, there's no need to lodge her, or to feed her, certainly not to dress her, or to bury her, thank God. She's yours only when you need her. You pay her only for that service. And you pay her by the hour. A slave or a paid worker. Which do you find more convenient? Foreign domination with its laws, its vetoes, its taxes, its commercial monopolies, or independence? With your own government, your own laws, your own administration, and the freedom to trade with anyone you like. On terms that are dictated only by the prices on the international market.
That's all quite correct, my dear Teddy. We all agree on the idealistic motives. But it's the example of the whole that doesn't convince me as yet, Mr. Walker. What will happen if once the Negro ceases to be a slave, and instead of wanting to be a worker, wants to be the boss?
And then your ex-slaves, instead of becoming your workers, will not become your bosses, Mr. Prada, but your executioners.
So I think it's pretty clear that the radicals didn't start this riot, but they'll be happy to take credit for it, and they expect there are going to be more, because they have no confidence that this country is going to do anything to change the conditions of life for the underclass we have seen growing up here around us on Linwood Avenue.
Well, it's obvious there have been a lot of arsonists at work. There's some very major fires, particularly in the Livernois area, between Lodge and Livernois, south and north of the Grand Boulevard. And I say there are about 15 major fires raging over in that area. It's obvious that there's been looting and other damage. It was a little difficult to see it this late at night, but I'm concerned about whether or not there's enough firefighting equipment.
Are you considering establishing martial law?
Well, I'm going down to get more information about the total picture.
Thank you, Governor.
It seems to me the point is that either way it will work for them, so that in a certain sense their future is already settled. It's America's future that is in doubt.
If we are not allowed to exercise our freedom, then we will do whatever is necessary to gain our freedom. And if that means tearing up the community to gain our freedom, we will.
$6,670 people were arrested. Most were Negroes. Many were left homeless. Almost all of them Negroes. The black extremists did not start this riot. It was not planned. It exploded because the black people were angry and frustrated. But once it started, the extremists began to move in. What follows are the facts about their activities during and after the riot, as we've been able to piece them together. A new wave of firebombing broke out a considerable distance away in the eastern zone along Kercheval. During the next 2 hours, or until 4 o'clock Monday morning, the incendiary unit that had been operating along this section of Grand River appeared to move west along Warren. And a new area was brought under firebombing attack up here just south of Roosevelt Field. There were additional fires along Woodward, and this unit seemed to be moving eastward along the connecting streets. And the incendiary team operating over here on Kercheval was extending its perimeter. By now, the riot was 24 hours old. Now, the firebombing continued for at least another 48 hours, but that gives the pattern. And throughout the firebombing, there appeared to be at least 5 and perhaps as many as 10 incendiary groups at work.